here we go. Welcome back to the CounterStrike Casual Podcast, everyone. And we are now on episode 52. And it is with great pleasure that myself and Brearley bring to you our first ever guest of the podcast. He's an American esports journalist, CounterStrike lover,
I feel like
writer.
We need a round of applause.
Yeah,
So
man.
we need like a little cheer or
We'll do our ceremonial opening of can, which mine's a Diet Coke, which is real American, I feel.
Here we go. I mean,
Nice.
keep the theme going, Brewdog.
I've just got water, but
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you know what's the drinking culture like in America, Gadj? Because we've got an American, one of our close friends is married to an American, and she can drink, right?
oh yeah, there's especially where I'm from, the Midwest, drinking culture is definitely big. For me personally, though, I don't know. I don't like carbonation. I guess I've just never.
Just don't like
Everyone
bubbles.
else in my family is, but I don't know. For me, just water does the trick.
Fair enough.
That's very good, mate.
We drink too much. Brearley's keeping the drinking going podcast weekly, but I've been pretty tame actually. I'm trying to drink less midweek, but we in England do have a bit of a bad culture. We drink from so much earlier than you guys. So you guys we drink like 15, 16 years old. So by the time we're 30, we're like, oh my god, I'm a functioning alcoholic. But
yeah, I don't drink a lot. I just have a couple while we're doing the podcast. It gets me in the mood.
He does 8 podcasts a week. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you so much for coming on. It is a lovely surprise and honour to have someone like yourself on and at least just share the screen with us and chat waffle and casual Counter-Strike. I think what we should get straight into, or what I would like to at least introduce you, Gadj. I think our listeners know kind of about us a bit. I would like to know your origin story of kind of how did you get into Counter-Strike? What made you pick?
Did you?
Go on.
I mean, maybe I missed this. Did you tell everyone like why we've got Gadj on? What his title is, or?
Well, I said he's an esports journalist from America that likes to chat about. Yeah, but we can get into that a bit more. But let's hear the origin story first and foremost. That's important if we ever have a guest on. How did you get into Counter-Strike? Why Counter-Strike?
Yeah. So I started playing Counter-Strike in my freshman year of high school. I think you guys call it year 9.
Good research.
A good friend of mine I made in math class. He basically, we met, we talked, we really hit it off, and he said, hey, there's this game I played called Counter-Strike. I know you have a computer. Would you want to play it ever with me? We just kind of play, we have fun, we don't really try. And I was like, yeah, sure. I've played first-person shooters my whole life, Call of Duty and stuff like that. So figured why not give it a shot? And I just really grew to it in the beginning. It's a really simple game, pretty easy to pick up. And as time went on, I just played it more and more. In the pandemic, I played it a lot more. And then I started actually getting into the esports side. Started watching tournaments. My first tournament was the European Cologne that was online that year. And I guess something about it just really stuck out to me because I just kept watching and playing. And I mean, nowadays, at my peak, I probably played, at least 4 or 5 games a day. Now it's probably more like, 1 or 2 every couple of days, but just got into it through a friend and just never stopped playing, I guess.
The pandemic was like a big one for a lot of gamers. I feel like a lot of people were getting into esports. Then it kind of killed the big events, the big LAN events. But
yeah,
obviously everybody was at home playing games. So
you must really love it if you got into online Cologne, basically into the
Well, I just looking for something to do, browsing Twitch, and then I was like, I've heard of Cologne because they advertise the big events on the homepage, and Cologne obviously a big one, so recognize the name.
Yeah, well, fair play. And so the transition from wow, this is just a fun game, I like this game, and thinking actually I want to try and do something in this scene and a bit of journalism or whatever. What happened there then? How did you kind of do some of journalistic stuff or transition in?
Yeah, so when I got to college, I joined the esports club at my school, and sort of saw for the first time, like, oh, wow, there's other people who do this, and I can kind of, be involved with this. And as I went on and I did more in the club, eventually one of the people who was doing partnerships for the club, like with other companies, introduced me to the guys at Juked. It's not around anymore, but it was a like social media platform for specifically esports, and they brought me on to write about collegiate stuff because it was what I was in at the time. I was doing a little bit of coaching because not good enough to play, but I did that for a little bit, and I really enjoyed it. I liked feeling like I was doing something that was really, I guess, contributing to the scene, getting to interact with people. And so I thought, well, I'm really enjoying esports. I'm really enjoying CS playing and stuff. And I'm not going to get into this scene as a player. And, coaching is definitely a longer path. So I thought, maybe journalism is something. So I reached out to a lot of different organizations, different writing places, different teams. And eventually, Team Dignitas, who in the past have had CS teams from America, Denmark, even Sweden, they got back to me about their writing internship program. And I trialed there for a little bit and ended up getting to do a lot of work for them. I wrote about a dozen articles from, guides on updates. I started at a really a really nice time right when CS2 was first announced. So I wrote stuff about new smokes, premiere mode, loadout, stuff like that. Just general guides. And then the highlight of it for me was I got to go to IEM Dallas. I had gone to it in 2022, but in 2023, I got to go and actually do some interviews with players. I got to talk to Stown from Heroic, Buzz, who was in Astralis at the time, and JKS. And that was a really just insane, surreal thing that I never thought I'd be able to do. But it just kind of sparked this. I was like, wow, this is something that I can do, and I can go and kind of work my way up. And now I stopped working with them to focus on school for a little bit. But now I'm getting back into writing, just sort of doing my own articles. And yeah, it happened fast, and it happened pretty, just one thing leads to another.
That's
Just
so
taking
cool.
opportunities.
How was it interviewing those guys? Like, were they cool? Were you nervous? Did they kind of, because they're young as well, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
did I guess they probably weren't like trying to settle your nerves because I guess they're so young. They're probably a bit, I don't know,
Not the most
naive to
well,
that.
I don't know. I feel like JKS
Yeah.
has been around a long time, right? JKS would have been there, done that, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, but we know he doesn't communicate too well.
Yeah. Who was the nicest
Yeah,
out of the three?
um, the nicest, I don't know. JKS actually definitely told me he talked the most. I think because he was probably a little bit, he's done, dozens of these before.
Mm.
And he ended up, being the most talkative about stuff. I think Buzz was definitely very nice. He was super, he's young. He's not on Astralis anymore, but it was his first time at like a big tier 1 tournament, so it was nice to talk with him. Stown was probably the most surreal to talk to because the first team that I ever really, really followed was Heroic.
Oh,
So it
really?
felt pretty crazy, and yeah, definitely nerve-wracking to talk to the guy that I've been, the best player, I guess, on the team that I first started looking at.
Why Heroic? Just
Definitely
because they
surreal.
were kind of up near the top when you were getting into
They
it, or?
they were a good team at the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was in late 2020 and, early 2021. I think I was really attracted to the kind of antics of Cadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really colorful guy, really doing a lot of stuff. And I just remember kind of at the time I got in after a lot of the the coach bug stuff, so everyone was kind of against him at the time, and I didn't really know, so I was like, oh well, everyone's against these guys. I think they're cool, so just kind of
Yeah,
stuck by him.
I think that's good. I kind of come at it at the same angle. I was like, Cadian seems like a really nice, genuine guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Like, I remember him being interviewed and his mum was there and he was like hugging her and he kind of gets upset
Yeah.
on camera and doesn't, it doesn't phase him, doesn't try and hide it. So I like that about him.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
Heroic is one of the few jerseys I actually own, but that's not through really being
Yeah,
a mad supporter. That's because I got really drunk in Copenhagen, and it was pretty much the only. It was that or Astralis, wasn't it? They had like no. when we
Astralis, yeah, Astralis weren't there, right?
No, yeah, but they only had a select few of jerseys on sale, and obviously I wanted a FaZe because Carrigan's my favorite all-time person, and one day I hope he adopts me. And I was like,
he does mean his favorite person as well, not player.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted FaZe. They didn't have FaZe, and I swear it was just pretty much Astralis or Heroic your only options because we're in Copenhagen. So I end up with Heroic because fuck Astralis.
Who's your favorite team now, Gadj? Like, do you have a team that you kind of stick to and you follow, or do you just do you flip flop? Do you change?
I got a few that I've kind of liked for a while. As an American, Complexity. I've always really loved Elige, Grim, Floppy. Followed them for a while. So Complexity definitely near the top. I like younger teams. I like teams that kind of like build their way up with prospects, and so Mouse and Spirit kind of fit well in that category. FaZe, I don't know, just an easy team to like. Your favorite player of all time, Kerrigan. Mine, unfortunately, no longer playing. It was Zipix. So he's the assistant coach for Mouse. Yeah. So that inherits a lot of the love for me.
I feel like I'm going everywhere with this, but I just had so many questions.
I knew this was going to happen. Like we had a bit of a structure, but it was always going to go off piece, which is fine. This is good. This is a different episode for us, so we like it.
Yeah. Flow. I wanted to ask you about coaching. I find that really interesting. So
yes,
do you still coach first?
No, I've taken in the club. I'm the president of esports, so I just do more broad stuff. But I still like to keep in with the CS team. But when I was just starting out in the club at my school, I was coaching the junior varsity team, and then eventually the varsity one.
When it comes to coaching, do you feel like you're more on tactics side, or are you more like people managing, or like where do you angle come from?
Yeah, I think then I was definitely more of kind of managing people. On the teams that I had there, the in-game leaders were super. They were strong personalities. Really had like a way that they wanted to do stuff and a lot of tactics, and that's awesome. I didn't want to get in the way of that, so I think it was mostly providing a lot of structure, getting resources, managing practices, and then during the matches trying to just kind of keep the team up. I also did a lot of map veto stuff, so that was kind of like a little bit of area of expertise.
Oh, okay, cool.
I've got another question, which we're not even touched on what we need to touch on yet, but the culture in America for esports and gaming. So I think you're a bit younger than us. I went to the equivalent of college. Really, I don't think you went to university, did you? But
no, I went to I went to college, but not university.
Yeah, so but when I was at university, which is college, you would never be seen or known to go and be in a gaming club or an esports club. Like when I was, because again, that was 15 years ago or something for me. So that was not cool. And yeah. I think especially in Britain still, in England, we still have not the most open, I feel, view on esports and gaming still. People still game, but it's FIFA, isn't it? People play soccer games, football games, Football Manager, COD, like your basic, what I would call, and I've said this before, and people can hate on me in the comments, like the basic bitch games. Yeah. Well, they are. They're like your mate Dave.
No, I'm with you.
Your mate called Dave.
But it's where you start out.
Yeah, I get that. But in England, what I'm trying to say is, even if you say now, if I said to someone, "Oh, I play CounterStrike 5v5 competitive shooter. It's tactical. We think about tactics," and they were like, "Wait, hang on, chill out, mate. I just play FIFA. You're fucking bit gimpy. It's a bit weird." Is there a different culture in America, or is that still relevant there, or is there a bit more openness to this kind of thing and Counter-Strike? And if I was to go into a university now in America, I want to go into the esports community club. Is that cool?
We don't really have clubs here though, right?
Well, at uni you did have societies, we called them.
Okay.
So I was actually in the law society. I didn't study law, but I did it because I managed the football team in law. Don't get me started. But so I was in the law society, and so we would then on a Wednesday night, and again I'm educating you on English universities, on a Wednesday night would be the social night. So we'd all go out to like the club and pub in our society. So I'd go out with the law people, even though I don't do law. But there was, I can't recall, but again, I might not have been searching for it at the time because I was just interested in playing football and drinking beers. I can't recall there being an esports or gaming community then. And now, if I went back, that would be the first thing I'd seek out. I'd be like, let's go do that. That's what I want to fucking do. So, yeah, is it kind of a bit more open and you get what I'm sort of saying, or is it still a bit like that is still a bit geeky?
It definitely varies by where you're at. I mean, America's a big country. I've only ever lived in pretty big cities, where I'm sure it is more accepted. You know, there's not as much time to spend outdoors. The weather's not as nice.
Yeah.
Pretty cold where I'm from, so you spend a lot of time on your computer. But I would say it's definitely accepted. You know, people would know what you're talking about. People would be like, "Oh, you play games?" Like, "Oh yeah, I play Valorant, I play Fortnite." You know, something like that. The idea of playing games competitively and taking it seriously, or just playing games a lot, I think is definitely something that people are accepting of and aware of. I mean, not everyone, but in general, I would say, you know.
Do you think that's like a culture thing or an age thing? Because like Diz was saying, we're older than you guys.
Yeah.
So do you think like gaming is more accepted because it's just American culture? Like you guys have clubs and it's like, you know, that's just the thing that happens there? Or do you think it's because you guys are younger? Like if this happened, say 10 years ago, would that have been seen differently, do you reckon?
I actually do think it might be age because I've grown up where more people play games. I mean, my dad, obviously much older than me, he grew up playing games, but it was in a much different way and, you know, not online and not as accepted. Whereas I've always grown up playing games, you know, even in elementary school, I would play Call of Duty with my friends when I was, you know, 10 or 12. So I think because it's something that you've grown up with for a long time, you kind of, even if you don't do it personally, you've probably known someone who did, or you've heard about it, you've seen someone do it. So I think age is actually probably a bigger factor. But I guess the only culture I know is American culture and just Midwestern American culture at that. So, yeah.
It's hard to say, yeah. Yeah, I think I know Rocket League's like most of the university teams, most of the universities in America have like Rocket League teams, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a big thing that I couldn't imagine that being a thing in the UK.
No.
Like at all. Like even like your college basketball, just apps. This has told you in the past. Like I like my basketball. The American football at college level and basketball is just insane. Like we don't. It's better than our Premier League, and that's like a massive worldwide. You know what's league, but yeah, we don't have anything even close to some of the stuff in America.
The thing about America is it's not meant to turn into like an American bashing theatre. We've got Gadj on, and this is actually just a trap. This is a trap. Like with soccer as well. Like if you guys actually wanted to be the best at any sport, just plowed loads of money and time into it. You've got like all the resources and enough people to actually be good at it. And like it's mad. You could literally just take over. It's so okay. So is Valorant more popular than CS over there as an esport now? Is that kind of the thing?
Yes.
Definitely feel like that's. Do you think that that's been a contribution to the American CS scene dropping a bit? I wonder. I thought that when it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think we've recovered a lot, but I think when Valorant first dropped, during the pandemic, again, dropped at a really great time when everyone was like, getting online. It's like, oh, this is kind of easier to get into. I think, it feels more open to more people. It's not as
more friendly looking.
There's a lot to learn, and it's a super complicated game, but you can kind of jump in and still, move your way around it, where in CS you're just going to get annihilated if you just start out.
Yeah, I guess because everyone was new as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
I maintain that I think the Valorant community is nicer than the CounterStrike community. And I've said that in the past.
They're definitely more welcoming. You're doing bad. It's like, oh, it's your first game. Let me give you some advice. In Counter-Strike, that's not the case. I remember, I think I got kicked from 2 of my first 3 competitive games I ever played.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of work your way through it.
Yeah.
I definitely think Valorant
yeah.
hit at. You're right saying that about the pandemic, right? Because that hit at such an opportune time for Valorant.
Also, like Americans like new things as well, right? And
Yeah.
as soon as Valorant came out, a lot of American players just went to Valorant. Like you didn't see many
Yeah.
European players go over to Valorant, but the American guys did.
Yeah, and I think there were a lot of different factors there. I think the fact that CS has always been, even when Americans have been doing really phenomenally, like in 2018, 2019, it's always been centered in Europe. So when people can't travel and you're just kind of stuck in America, you're like, well, what am I going to do? It kind of feels like there's not a future there. And like I said, a lot of people have gone and come back. I mean, it feels like forever since someone like Floppy has been back here, but he actually did leave for a little while. Obviously Nitro back and forth a lot.
Nitro loves it. Nitro
Yeah,
depends
exactly.
what day of the week it is, whether he's playing CS or Valorant.
Exactly.
All right,
yeah.
sorry. Anything else to add, or?
No, I think the one thing that I want to go back to what you said about Rocket League and kind of use it as a point to say that collegiate esports it's almost like a different world than, I guess, like professional adult esports. Both in like the popularity of games, because it's hard to sell CounterStrike, and because I've tried, it's hard to sell CounterStrike as a game for universities to sponsor because it's terrorists killing counter-terrorists and a bomb and there's blood and all this stuff. Whereas it's easier to sell League of Legends is, it's fantastical, it's, it's mythical universe. Valorant, it's a little more on the edge, but there's no blood, it's not a bomb, it's a spike, it's not terrorists, it's attackers. Rocket League, super easy to sell, it's just car soccer. So I think that there's a really, really big disconnect between them. And I think Counter-Strike in colleges is still very big. There's a lot of teams, and you've seen even some people. There have even been some college teams, like back in the day, there was like Davenport University. They were a collegiate team who genuinely were kind of like tier 2 in North America, which for a team that was just based out of a college is really impressive. And some of their players, like Kojomo, have gone on to play on recognized lower level American teams. But in college, we'll call them more family friendly games definitely get a lot more funding, appreciation, and stuff like that. So it can be tough.
That makes sense.
Whereas,
actually, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I've never really thought of it from that perspective, although I should do, because being a parent, my wife hates games in general, and if she saw Counter-Strike, she'd be like, no, my children never playing that game. But if it was Valorant, she might be a little more lenient.
Yeah, Mrs. Diz walked in and I've had it on the TV, and my 3-year-old's been like, what's that? And she's like, turn that off. It's like straight up killing, like ragdoll body against a wall.
Yeah.
Whereas Valorant, Valorant, I think one of their knives is a butterfly. Something.
He loves that.
Yeah, literally.
If you're running around with that, like my wife or your parents would look at the screen and be like, "Oh, that looks
fun.
Cute.
That looks fun."
Yeah. Try it. Yeah.
Counter-Strike, the most you're gonna get is like a pink knife.
Yeah. Anyway, right. I tell you what. Let's get into some current chat. I think it's time we dive into what's happening in the actual scene. Get all of our thoughts and takes on it. In particular, the ongoing off-season roster changes. I think we have actually avoided talking about this in the last couple of episodes to save it for this one, and also I actually feel like it's only really picked up in the last week or so. I think it was quite quiet to begin with, or it was one of those situations where there was a lot of rumours and like we knew it was going to happen, all these changes were going to happen, but then they just didn't announce them till recently, which is such an anticlimax anyway when they do that. It's just I know they've got to do it. They've probably got, it gets leaked and then they've got contracts, but you're just like, by the end of it, you're like, get on with it, who cares? So let's start at the top of we've got a list the viewers and listeners can't see, but we've got a list. Let's start from the top. We'll start with the tier 1 teams, which Gadj actually classed as tier 1 and tier 2 teams. We've had a debate on this podcast before about actually whether that we were actually also
let's say tier 1 orgs.
orgs.
I think
yeah.
is a better. I think that's easier designation to make.
Yeah, but we had a debate. I don't know when it was, but about whether you could actually start turning the rankings into and actually just classifying as like the top 30 or 20, and why they don't do that and have this debate. But we won't go into it now. So let's start with G2. So the ongoing saga. Hooksy's out. Who would have thought? Nex is out. Nex has gone to Bleed. I don't know if you saw his debut
They won the
for
first
Bleed.
game, right?
They did win the first game, and he was bottom fragging. I don't know if he's IGLing in Bleed actually, or
I don't think he is. I think it's Hampus still.
it's right. So yeah, that would make sense. So his first game, he bottom fragged. I don't know what people were expecting for his first game. Like I don't know. I still maintain that I felt like in elements of Nex's G2 reign, he actually had some good impact. But you know, it is what it is. It was inevitable. So what do we think? Talk to me, guys. By the way, I'm muting my mic as much as possible just in case it is picking up too much because I'm watching the volume receivers and it is a bit bad, so I don't want to piss everyone off.
Don't worry. Yeah, I think
Snacks Malbs, go.
in terms Malbs I'm not super mad at, but I still think JKS would have been a better replacement. Snacks and Huxley, I would just say they kind of balance each other out a little bit because what Snacks done realistically, like Game Legion's only talked about because of Shuei, right? Shuei put them on the map. And he might frag a little bit better than Huxley, but I don't think he's going to be as good in-game leader. So really, I'm not super excited about this roster change, but I've not got loads to say on it, mate. Like I feel like we'd spoke about G2 quite a lot, so I'll let Gadj give his 2 cents.
Yeah. Being from America, I've actually, Malbs has been a big prospect there for a long time. Team 1 was a Brazilian team he played on for a long time, and then recently in M80, stuff like Pro League. I think he's a insanely talented rifler, super aggressive. I don't like that he's in G2. I don't think there's much space for him. I've heard he's going to be, doing some anchoring, the big side anchor. Whereas in M80, he's a pretty aggressive star rifler.
Like plays most star positions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So I don't know. I've heard stuff here and there that supposedly he prefers anchor roles, but just did star stuff on the M80 because that's what they needed. I don't know about that. I just know that he should be in star roles because he excels in them. And he really is just a fantastic player. I think that we'll see. They're shuffling some stuff around. I guess, we'll have to wait and see what the roles actually shake out to be and how he plays. But this is kind of reminding me of, to just use another example from the Americas, Grim was on a team called Triumph, a tier 2 NA team for a while. And just like Malbs, really incredible player, great stats as a rifler. They bring him onto Liquid because of his stats when Nitro leaves, and they make him an anchor, and he's really not great. Grim now, I think, is he's had a resurgence on complexity. Maybe now he's not incredible, but he's shown that he's a great rifler, but on Liquid, you really couldn't see it. And I'm worried that might happen to Malbs too, because he's such a great prospect.
It feels like
I don't want him to botch his entry.
They're kind of bottlenecked, right? Like I thought of this with Grim as well because I used to stick him in my fantasy quite often because I thought he's one of these players that's like he's better than his stats probably show when he was on Liquid, and I always felt like he had this potential, but it's typical of like organizations, right? They're just, I think major sports companies do the same thing. They just get loads of great players and hope that they just fit together. It's like like Lakers getting Russell Westbrook. It's just like the fit doesn't work, so it's not going to make the team play better because you've got a better player who's really aggressive rifler, and then you're telling him, "Oh, just hold this site and be a bit more passive." It's not going to work when someone's play style works for them. You can't tell him to do the opposite and expect the same results, right?
Yeah. He might still do well, but it's unpredictable. You're spending this money, you're bringing him onto this huge team with Nico and Monesi, and you're just kind of rolling the dice on it. And I don't have huge confidence in Snacks and Taz to be able to make this team work either. I wish I didn't think this was ever going to happen. I think benching Hooksy was a fine move. I mean, individually, he obviously just wasn't able to keep up. I would have loved to see them make him the coach. I think tactically he was still great. I think he brings amazing energy to the team. I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah, would he have accepted that? I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't seem like the sort of thing that would have happened. You're like, oh, we're cutting you from the team, but you can stand behind us.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like what I would expect him to take.
Put the mouse down, put the gun down.
Yeah.
Well, Taz and Snacks are friends as well, right? Which is another question mark for me. It's like, are you just getting him over because you guys, are good friends? And I agree with like pretty much every point you said, Gadj.
I think the issue with the Hooksy thing is because there was so much talk about it and his individual fragging performance dropped so low to the point of a coach, which everyone picked on. If he'd actually maintained his like standard level of fragging, which was a kind of IGL standard, nothing too sexy, but they did get some good wins, and he did have the ability to kind of pull those guys together sometimes and get a result. He actually probably would still be there because the Snacks, bringing Snacks in is like he's gonna offer the tiniest bit more firepower, but that's only because Hooksy really fucking dropped, but really badly, and dropped so low. So that swap is like, okay, fine, we'll get on with our day, no change. The Maubs thing, it might be because he's obviously been ploughing his trade over at M80 and so much of the American farming, I would say. I feel like the hype for him was, the come up was just so quick, like on my radar anyway. It was like, hell, Maubs is sick, isn't he? Get him into a team.
Just like 2 matches in Pro League.
Yeah.
Which is, yes, right? Like, JL and Imma have one good major, and it's like, okay, Navi, let's sign him. Let's sign these guys.
It is kind of that vibe, but no, go on.
Cool. I feel like the orgs just said, okay, everybody wants us to have more firepower. Here you go. Yeah. And it's like
small upgrade there,
big listening to the public, and just gonna listen to the public, do what they've asked, and then say, oh, it's not worked. You guys were wrong. At least we tried it. Do you know what I mean? They're just trying to please the public, and it's not going to work. And then they can kind of say, "Well, what do you want from us?"
The more that we've spoken about it now and looking at it just on paper / the HLTV page, I actually am more excited to see this in action. Though, like, if that had Hooksy and Nexa on there, I'd still be like, oh, here we go again. So I'm actually a bit more excited to see how.
I mean, we're
definitely exciting.
At least they're trying
fun.
Yeah. The worst bit about that whole thing was the Taz thing to Snacks saying, "Can you save G2?" Like, cringe. Like, it's Snacks, bro. Like, if you'd done that to Maubs, that's a bit more acceptable. Saying, "Maubs, can you save us or help us?" But it was fucking cringe. I was like, mate, he's Snacks. Like.
Yeah, the move just feels so temporary. I mean, Hooksy was the oldest guy on the team. He's 29. Snacks is 31. I mean, obviously, Kerrigan, Snappy, Apex as well. You can play when you're older and you can do great.
But he's not them.
Yeah, he's not them. He doesn't have the tactics of them, and he's not even. I mean,
maybe
he's obviously a legend, but. That's true. Yeah.
But when you also look at the likes of Kerrigan, Apex, not so much Snappy, but actually they've actually been fragging in CS2. Kerrigan in particular, and I'm not actually just saying that. Like, he's actually been fragging better than he was at the end of CS:GO. So, and Snacks hasn't. So, he's not really. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
Right, come on, we've got a few more teams to hit, and I feel like G2 get talked about to death for a team.
We do talk about G2 so much, man. All right, let's move on. The Brazilian legends, Serato and Yuri, they've signed back up. They're going, no, I'm not fucking leaving. It's like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, isn't it? Where he's like, I'm not fucking going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's never leaving.
I ain't fucking leaving.
Yeah. And they've got skulls in. Like, I feel like your American teams, M80 in the last one, Skulls, Liquid are just like, I was about to say losing their players, but I don't actually feel like it's a big loss for Liquid to lose Skulls. But
No, it's not.
I mean, what to say about Furia again? Gadj, man, you can lead the way being over that side of the pond, but mate, Keserato, why is he not just gone somewhere?
I don't know. I mean, I think obviously the easy comparison is Tabson and Big. He's just like, I guess I'm here. He wants to stay with his country. Fair enough. It's his choice. It's not like he signed some 7-year contract at the start of his career, locking him in there. He just keeps signing. So he's been there for 6 years. He'll be there for another 3.
I think I can kind of get it. You're probably getting paid well to play with your equivalent mates in Brazil, lovely part of the world. You're doing what you love, or the alternative is probably going to play for you could be playing for the boys at G2 in the Balkan regions. Where do they? I don't know where G2 are based. Probably somewhere like in Europe, in cold Europe. With Hunter and Nico, who are probably going to scream at you and get annoyed at you, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm Kesero. I could be in Rio. I could be on the beach. I could be with the boys.
Oh, no one's ever calling for Keserato to get cut.
No, exactly, yeah. So I guess when you actually break it down like that, you can kind of understand. And then people say, oh, he doesn't want to win. He doesn't want to go for the big one. But, mate, you could join G2, and they could shit it up the wall anyway, because it's G2 and not get anywhere. So, I don't know. We'll see how they go. But
I think Skulls is a huge upgrade over Kai. I think Kai was just kind of temporary. Not surprised it didn't work out. I think Skulls has a lot to show still. He was incredible in Pain towards the end of CSGO. And I think it's going to make Furia a lot better. My personal opinion on Furia is I'm never going to be excited about this team as long as Fallen is on it. I think it's just taking up 2 big slots where there's so many better people in Brazil for both of them. I think there's IGLs that are better than him, like Vinny and Big Uzera. I think there's Oppers that are better than him.
Big Uzera was quality in that last, was it the major, or I can't remember where he popped off.
The major, yeah. There's Oppers, like Henny just got benched on Imperial for some reason. I don't know why, but
he was quality for them.
Yeah, I thought they were doing good. I thought they were making great progress. I don't know who they pick up. Maybe there's some prospect from Brazil I've not been hearing about.
Probably going to find the next Henny. They've probably got the next Henny lined up. Mate, the Brazilian scene is bizarre.
Though, right? Like, because we don't really get a great insight to comms and team
that's true.
And whatnot, so it's so hard for us to say. It's like, with the cut of JKS, I don't think anyone could make sense of that. I think people that are even in the know couldn't make sense of it. But yeah, sometimes there's something in the background, like maybe the chemistry wasn't great. Maybe he just wasn't a big team player. I don't know.
Maybe he was.
And if there's one scene, if there's one scene that has just talent absolutely all the way through the house, it's Brazil. There's like on HLTV on their their regional rankings page, there are over 30, or there are at least 30 teams from South America that have enough points to be ranked.
No way.
In North America, there's barely 20.
Yeah.
So you can. I'm sure they've done some scouting, and I guess I would hope that they're bringing in someone interesting.
In the UK, there's only 3 teams overall on that list.
Yeah. Well,
and one is Endpoint. There's 14 points.
And I would kind of consider this a bit of a down period for South America as well. Like, they don't seem to be as top as they were a few years ago. Yeah.
There was even a time post-pandemic when Furia was pretty good, when they were making semifinals of events. In 2022, they were pretty solid. I don't get having Fallen on the team, other than it just being really,
nostalgic Brazilian.
He's a legend, isn't he?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's right. It's like when United signed Ronaldo back, right?
Yeah. That's maybe not one for Gadj to come on.
Yeah, sorry, it's soccer talk.
No, that's
okay. So go on. Who else are we talking about?
We've got Big next on our list. So go on, talk.
Rigon.
Yeah, Rigon going to Big. I don't. Go on, talk to us about Rigon, because this is a Gadj edition. So you must have some thoughts or opinions on this.
I just wanted to throw this on here because I have been really sad with what Big has been performing lately, which has been absolutely nothing. Because I think that so many pieces of I think for what they are, which is a German team, I think they have the best possible in-game leader. They have the best Tabson. They have the best rifler in Germany as Crimbo. JDC is an amazing support player, just in general, and obviously by far the best in Germany. So it feels like this roster should be doing more, and Searson should be the best opper. He's actually been playing really terribly, which is sad to see. And I don't know. I guess maybe they try and poach Slacks from M80, got that team even more. But I don't know. I think it's just a solid upgrade. Rigon does speak German. I think he's from the German part of Switzerland, so that's a solid upgrade for Process. I think I just more want to see. I put this on here because I just want to see Big do more. I just want to see them kind of live up to this. I guess this potential. I see it. I see some pieces here that are great.
It's so funny that you actually bring this team up, because whenever Big get brought up these days, like if this was a few years ago, I would have been excited. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of over Big a little. But now you mention it, they have got like some really good players, and they do really underperform. This kind of helps with my point that I made a long time ago, that some teams are only as good as their AWPer, and
Yeah.
like you said, Sirison just isn't performing, and it's massively affecting the team because like Crimbo, I think I'm really high on Crimbo. I think he's such a good player, and he has such great moments. Tabson, I think, like you say, he's like they've got like 3 of the best players in Germany, but I'm really happy that they're sticking with their core and they're not kind of going international like everybody else.
Yeah, I do like that. I really respect the team not doing that because it is just more fun to root for it. I don't know about you guys. I just find it more fun to root for a team that's has a national core, has an identity, and Big is literally Berlin International Gaming. So I'm glad that they've stuck with that. I just want them to do something.
So what do we make of this new signing with Rigon? Do we think that they're gonna improve much, or?
I don't have too much to say on it. I will reserve judgment till I actually see them in action. I feel like Big have gone from that potential like big team killer in tournaments to just such a making up the numbers. It's irrelevant. So let's see from me.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to say until we really see them. I do think it raises the floor a little bit. I think Rigon is a really, really great individual player, so I think it can only help.
They just have so much to climb, though, right? They have such a
yes, yeah.
They've fallen off so far. They have a lot of ground to make up, and just signing one new player, just for me, is not it. They need to find that Monacy of Germany, don't they?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, let's move on to something a bit juicier, in my opinion, especially given the guest on the show, which is Liquid. So,
Here
Liquid, here we go. So, hang on, are Liquids non-American now? North American?
They are, according to HLTV, they are other. They have 2 people from North America. They don't have a flag. They are 2 people from North America, 2 people from Europe, and 1 person from Oceania, Australia.
Yeah.
So they have no majority.
So what does that mean for, even though the RMRs are maybe going to be a thing of the past, but not for the next major? So what does that mean for qualifying?
When a team doesn't have a majority of anything, I mean the only possibility could really be 2-2-1. They are allowed to pick which one they go to, whether they could play in Europe, they could play in North America. Obviously they'll play in North America.
Yeah.
So they can still play. That's the benefit of JKS, is that they maintain a non-European majority.
Okay. And
so they will play in North America.
So let's start with the addition of JKS. I think we're all going to be pro JKS in a team, I think. I mean, in any team, he's going to add some value, and in particular Liquid. And also weirdly, I was thinking about him the other day before he made this move, whether he's actually leaving this all too long and like waiting for the right team or whatever. But now he's gone to Liquid. I think that's pretty exciting. He's linking up with NAF again, mate. Yeah, I'm glad to see him back. Like, this is good. This is exciting. What do you guys reckon?
I feel like JKS is like partly I do this as well, but overhype someone. Like, he's a good player, he plays his role pretty well, but he's not as good as everyone's making out. It's just because G2 got rid of him, so everybody's like, oh, why did you get rid of him? Like, that's ridiculous. Which I agree, I think it was ridiculous, but
Do you think that added to the idea of him better than he is?
yeah,
Then?
yeah, I think so. I think because he was kind of hard done by and he's a pretty quiet guy and he wasn't a star player, everybody's kind of said, oh, why have you got rid of JKS? And now everybody's like, JKS could fill this role, could fill this role, could fill this role. But having said that, I think it's a pretty good signing. Their biggest problem is Yakinda just hasn't quite found his form yet. So the biggest question marks are, is JKS still going to be able to play his roles well?
Mhm.
How is Twist going to... There's a lot of questions. Is Twist going to be able to in-game lead? Like, and still play as well as he does? Is Yakinda going to find his form? Is Ultimate going to be able to perform at this tier 1 level? Like, there's a lot of questions. The only questions I don't have is for NAF, really. Like, I expect NAF to be NAF.
Yeah, I agree. I think that JKS doesn't need to be amazing. He doesn't even need to be as good as everyone else is saying. He just needs to be better than Skulls, which he should be able to do. They just need another guy to be there and be consistent. I don't know about Ultimate. I think he's just kind of, he was great, good in, the tier that he played in. I guess, honestly, I don't have anything to say. I just want to wait and see. My biggest problem, or my biggest, I guess, fear with this team is Twist IGLing.
Why do
I feel like
whenever
there's a team that comes together and it feels like they can be really great, or it's like, oh, they have the pieces in place. My thought is like, not that this is remotely comparable in terms of the firepower or expectations, but like the Cloud9 super team when Electronic and Perfecto joined, it's like, oh, they have all the roles there. Everyone seems pretty decent. This should work out great. It feels like when you don't have like a really great IGL, that's just what kills it. It's my worry for G2 and it's my worry for Liquid that like, I just don't think that there's a lot of questions that need to be answered for this lineup, and I don't know if they can be answered with Twist as the IGL. I think you really need someone to like step up and really put in some rules, and I guess we'll see. I don't know if Twist is gonna be able to do it, but
if you look at like Twist and the Liquid roster now, and then you think, oh, Twist was on FaZe with Robs and Brogy and Carrigan, and
it feels like a distant memory. Is that what you mean? You feel like it
just feels like, how are these guys gonna do?
How are they gonna?
Well, like Twist has fell so far. Like,
but Twist has been playing incredibly well. Well, he was playing really well with.
I don't mean that as in terms of like himself, but
as a collective.
I think FaZe were struggling a little bit, right, when he probably made this decision. Then he made this decision. They started playing awesome and winning a lot.
Yeah, well, this was when it won everything. Yeah, do you remember he was like tweeting cryptic stuff like, "Oh, not sure," or like, shitting himself.
And now it's just, I feel a bit sorry for him, to be honest, and I feel like he's in a bit of a shit position. If these guys do anything, I would be pretty gobsmacked. I would be like, this would be like Navi winning the major.
Okay.
Really? Okay. I have some belief that they can do stuff. I don't expect them to be top 5 or anything crazy like that, but I expect them to be able to make the occasional playoff run. So great. I think if Ultimate does well, then I don't know. I don't think that.
You say they couldn't make top 5, could they make top 10?
Not consistently. I would lean towards no, because I don't trust Twist as an IGL, but I think that if he is really good and if Ultimate ends up, delivering, then I wouldn't actually be surprised if they did make top 10 consistently. But it's too many questions for me to
Yeah.
say I bet on it.
It could this could free up your Kinder to become,
Yeah.
an amazing rifler again. And
Yeah.
if Ultimate can up,
But I thought
you put
Cadian
that
coming
higher.
in and doing that was meant to do that, and then taking
Was
the
it- yeah.
IGL. The problem here is Ultimate's so
Yeah, but he had twists as well. Like, do you know what I mean? He still had twists on the team, whereas like now Twist is in game leading, he's freeing up your Kinder even more.
Yeah, but
I
if
guess.
anything, there's more. Your Kinder's got to do more now. Than if Twist is inevitably going to drop off because it's going to be focused on calling, and he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's a fucking idiot for doing this. Like, let's get this straight. Like, he shouldn't do it. He's at the prime of his like peak Twist ability. I am Twist the man. This is what you should be doing when you're like snacks over at G2, like, oh fuck it, I need to like keep doing it. Like, he shouldn't be doing this. He's an idiot. So he's inevitably going to drop off, and your Kinder's going to have more pressure. If your Kinder doesn't now bang 1.3, 1.4 ratings on the regular, like, they are in trouble because NAF and JKS is going to sit having a cigarette on the sites doing their jobs, and your Kinder is next in the chopping block. Like, your Kinder's gone, mate. They've given that guy, I don't know what he's got over the management there.
They've given him so many chances.
He dropped off so hard, has never regained it. IGL dropped off, never, and so, like, I don't know what he's got. He's got like a sex tape on the management or something, and he's like threatening to release it. Yeah. So unless Ultimate as well turns up and does like a wonderful and turns out to be a sick AWPer, I think they're in loads of trouble. And the only saving grace will be NAF and JKS, hopefully. And I kind of like that as well.
I have a question for you guys as well. Should they have gone for Simple instead of Ultimate?
Yeah,
I have an opinion. I would have rather took the risk with Ultimate than I would with Simple.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
The cost for that risk with Simple would have been a lot higher. You would have been risking a lot more money for still like a big question mark. Is he going to play well? We've not even
because he is unproven in CS2.
Yeah, we've seen him in CS2 and it was pretty shocking. Yeah. So I would rather take
it was like one game
low cost risk with Ultimate than I would with Simple, which I know people are going to really push back on. But I'm here for it.
I think you take Simple.
Definitely, I can see that.
I think you just take Simple though, don't you?
Would you?
I think I probably would.
Imagine how much money Simple would cost.
Yeah, but forget the money situation, right? Liquid have got money, and that's not a fun game to play, is it? Think about the money.
Honestly,
do an Excel spreadsheet, think about the costs.
But I don't think Simple's going to do that well, honestly. But I've said this before, and I got quite a bit of pushback.
I can't understand. Go on, Gadj. I've got different.
Yeah. I like taking the chance on Ultimate. Well, Ultimate is a very big unknown. I mean, there's people in the tier 2 who are been putting up, pretty solid numbers, or you maybe could have like poached somebody. I guess my mind goes to someone like Regali. I don't know how he's been doing recently, actually, but I know that he was doing well for a bit. I'm sure he was super cheap. So Ultimate is definitely a pretty big gamble. But in general, I do like people trying out new talent rather than just recycling the same old ones. And yeah, Simple he's a big cost, and he's going to take up a lot of space on the team. You're going to have to play a lot around him, and I feel like this is a team that needs
hard to manage.
Needs selflessness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. Especially with a new in-game leader.
Yes,
that's very true. But Jordan, you're saying you would have took Simple just because it's Simple.
Yeah, just watch him make JKS and NAF cry.
you just want a bit more drama, like a bit more to talk about.
Why not?
A lot of names.
Yeah. What I can't understand is why teams like Liquid don't go, if they need an AWPer and a IGL, why, again, it's the Brazilian landlock that you can't access, but like, why can't they go for like a Big Uzera and Henny who's just got benched? Like, imagine Big Uzera instead of your Kinder, so IGLing and letting Twists do his thing, and then Henny instead of Ultimate, and then the rest of the team. Like, what a team that is. Like, that is quality, and I just don't get how these fucking teams can't just come together and go, let's make a really good team up here in in America.
It's easy. I guess it's easy for us to say.
Of
Let's
course
say
it is.
It's the language barrier, I think, is a lot of it.
Well, just
Because it's the same transition. For a Brazilian player, it's the same transition to say, all right, I'm going from playing on MIBR to a North American team to saying I'm going to go play from MIBR to some European team.
Yeah.
I wish they would be able to do that, and I do feel like there are still some, especially the ones that have been there longer, that still speak decent English, because there's a lot of people who've been back and forth around the shop. I don't know. I mean, I guess with the last two Brazilians, Liquid Sign being Skulls and Fallen, they're not. Maybe they don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to see Big Uzera especially. I want to see him get a better chance. Pain haven't been incredible since the major, but I want to see him.
Yeah, I think everyone wants
really
to
get like a star-studded lineup.
Yeah, that would be.
See what he can do.
Nice.
Okay, well that's Liquid analysed to death. Next up is strangely a team that I always want to do well, and I have no idea why. Cloud9. I always got a bit of a weird soft spot for Cloud9. Maybe it is the old American Glory days as well, but I think Boomage is actually incredible, and I really rate Boomage, so I want Boomage to do well. Axile's still there holding on by a thread. I guess because they lost Electronic Perfecto, and they're just like, well, we have to keep Exile. But they brought in Inter's Heavy God and Icy. Obviously, we don't need to go into dramas about Icy. There was a bit of dramas there, but whatever. He's there now. I particularly feel like Heavy God's a sick addition. We actually watched Heavy God live a few years ago when he played for Endpoint, if you remember, Dave, in live. We'd had a few beers in Birmingham, England, and he was playing for a British org.
You were having a fag out. You were having a cigarette outside with them. Well, not with them. But
not with them. No, I did have a cigarette, and Heavy God was enjoying one as well. And I wasn't shocked to see that Heavy God enjoyed an unhealthy habit like that. So I think Heavy God's a great addition, honestly, and I think his step from Endpoint to OG, even these short amount of games I watched him on OG, there was that Deagle Inferno highlight, which was sick.
Yeah.
And I actually watched that game, and I remember texting
that was like one of the sickest highlights. If
it was good.
Nico or Monesi or Zywoo or someone did that would have been way bigger. That was so good.
And he played really well for OG. He actually put up great numbers for an OG. So it was a bit weird. It almost felt like a waste of time him going to OG. He should have just gone to a bigger team from the off. So yeah, that's a great addition. Any opinions on the rest, or on it all? What are we thinking with Cloud? Are we excited or are we not?
I think I'm excited. I think that this isn't the team that's going to win trophies, but I think this is the start of a team that could win trophies. I feel like the roles make sense now. They've got solid IGL, solid support, solid riflers, and an AWPer. It's like, I know what everyone does on this team, and so if they need to make a change, it's not like they need to reshuffle everything. So I like that. I like that the rules make sense. I've always loved Inters. I've always thought he's a really underrated player. I think that it was a big mistake for Cloud9 to cut him back in the day for Buster. So I love that he's back, and I think that this team has a lot of promise. The one that I'm the least certain about is Icy. He's obviously really good, but I don't know if he's going to be able to put up the numbers that AWPers seem to need to these days. So maybe not on him, but I think that this is a really great foundation to have. This is a great start of a rebuild, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think like any team, it depends on the chemistry and how these guys all fit together. But I think the Russian guys, it's going to be sweet.
But they all
Heavy God and Icy, I kind of have question marks too. But I think this could work. They could be a good team. They're not going to be great, but I think they could be good.
I think after the Electronic Perfecto Gate saga, they need to go in with a team a bit more like this anyway. Just there's less pressure now. I think Boomage can kind of mold like the ICs, and Inters knows what he's doing, so that's like a bit of a comfort zone. But then he can continue to work with Axile, mold Heavy God and IC, so it actually could work really well. And I think if they let Boomage do Boomage things, it's actually I'm hoping it's a bit of like a fly under the radar, creeping up the rankings. Fucking Cloud9 are making some deep runs here, and actually have got a chance at winning the odd tournament. And yeah, I don't know why, man, but Boomage, Big Boom, like I think he deserves it. Like he did so well at Na'Vi and all that, and then just went a bit mental for a chick, right? So you can't, that happens. That happens.
Yeah. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, chick or man, and for love you get a bit wild. So, okay. Anything else to talk about on Cloud9?
No.
Excited to see him play.
Yeah. Let's go. So now we're gonna move on to our tier 2, because we mentioned Into the Breach in here, and everyone knows Into the Breach is tier 1, really deep down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But no, we're gonna we'll start with TSM. Let me just get my head around what's happened at TSM, because I must admit that flew under my radar. Okay, they got Altex, Nico, Acor, Valde. What is this? It's a whole new rebuild. Pretty much.
Whole new rebuild. They're full Danish now. They've been like kind of shuffling around players for a while.
Yeah.
Not that it counts for some huge amount. They did win this little online cup against some, Sashi, who have been in a couple of lands. Endpoint were there. Johnny Speeds, this upcoming Swedish team, were there.
I've seen this Johnny Speeds all the time. Yeah. Every time I look at matches on HLTV recently, like Johnny Speeds are just playing. They're like the fucking new Monty or someone. Remember Monty played like all those maps, all those games in 1 year. They're just always playing. Well, I think the one that I would comment on this, I don't have too much to say on it because it's just caught me a bit off guard, if I'm honest, is Altex, because I actually really liked Altex when he came up from the Astralis Academy into the Astralis team at the time. And I thought, considering how inexperienced he was, and when he came in, he was, it's Astralis, so it's very hard, I think, to come in and kind of maintain a position from the academy role. But I thought he was quite exciting at that point, and I've been surprised at his kind of trajectory from, I thought he was going to go somewhere better straight from when he got dropped down to the bench again on talent and stuff. So I'm quite excited to see Altex playing again. And he went to Preezy, which was a bit of a random little org that didn't quite work out. But yeah, I'm excited for Altex. So anyway, that was my little 2-piece on TSM. Anything else?
Yeah. For me, the reason that I like to, I hope they do well, or I want to think about them, is Xiphon. Xiphon to me was always the most underrated, or debatably, to me he was the most underrated piece of the Copenhagen Flames when they did well. I think he's a great supportive lurker player, and I've been kind of sad to see him like milling around, not really doing amazing on Sprout recently. So I'm excited to see him get another full Danish team. Same with Acor, obviously showed a lot in Gamer Legion towards the end, and I think that even though he's not incredible, I just kind of want to see what these guys can do. This might end up being a team that just does nothing, but I don't know. I feel like there's something.
It feels like it could be
a team full of players with like quite a high ceiling. They might not get there that often, but when they do, they could all pop off.
Mm-hmm.
They can all have their moments. So that's a pretty that's a pretty interesting team. They've definitely got better, I would say.
I don't know if I'm going to buck the trend a bit. It feels a bit like it is just like a weird Preezy team again, though. Like they could proper just sit at like 30th in the world forever. I don't know. Could be wrong. Hopefully proven wrong. But that's how it feels like to me.
And again, it's not an international team, so that's good too.
Yeah, why does the community have such an affiliation with one nation? Just because it's fun to support one nation and be like, yeah,
it reminds you of the old days.
Yeah,
a lot of them have fell apart, so it's nice to see.
And it's just fun to have some
nice. As CounterStrike players, we like some nice countries getting together, and
we just like being mean to other countries in the server, basically. All right, let's go on to one of our favourite teams. Obviously, it's a British organisation, so we're gonna love Into the Breach. although its core
They're not
is
British.
not English. Yeah, but
You still got one.
we've got one, and we've got
Yeah.
arguably
Smooth,
we've got arguably the most loud, controversial one. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Smooya, Kios, and the ex Guild Eagles won Flatcho's. How do you actually say it? Synopsy.
Yeah, I think Synopsy.
And Boros, I have changed mouse. Boros. So
he's never gonna change mouse ever again.
Do you know what? We I don't know if you ever watched the episode, Gadj. I think we spent a whole episode talking about that video.
Talking about the mouse.
Yeah, the video in particular, and how I felt. I don't know. I can't remember what the conclusion was.
You were saying I've had worse dressing downs in my job.
Yeah, that's it. I think everyone was well over the top, man. Yeah, like.
Anyway,
my boss has told me to fuck off before, so it happens.
Right. What are we saying? We like this team?
Yeah, I do. I think it's exciting. I think when you've got the ex two boys from Guild Eagles who have got a bit of a reputation for messing up teams and pick'ems and roster runs, you've got Boros, who's just fucking annoying everyone in any way he can. You've got Smooya, who's probably gonna say something stupid next week and get fired. And then you've got Kios, who's actually just a quite a good player. What's not to
Stuck
like?
In the middle of it all. Yeah. I think this is gonna be one of those. It's all relative, right? Yeah, it's exciting, but it's exciting because it's into the breach.
For us.
Yeah. It's gonna be funny seeing these guys together, how they gel, whether Smoothie is gonna take any of Boris's fucking lateness or forgetting his mouse or what. It should be pretty entertaining if it's nothing else.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really funny team to watch. Right, just the players. I can't imagine how these 5 personalities are gonna gel with each other. No. I have really low hopes for what this team is gonna do. But I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to see these guys somehow, I guess, make the major would maybe be a goal. Just make a big event, something like that.
That would be brilliant. Yeah, that would be great for those guys. But I agree with you. It's a little bit like, let's throw these players together. But it could work. Like, they could do well.
Yeah.
I feel like the Christmas party would just be random as fuck, but I'd love to just go to that.
I feel like it could be like the misfits though. Like they could end up getting on really well with each other.
That's what. Yeah, weirdly, I'm hoping.
I can see that. Yeah.
They were trialing Boros, weren't they? Because they hadn't announced him. He was last to be announced, and they said we're trialing someone for a while. So I wonder if there was obviously concerns about all the stuff about the Falcons stuff. So I would have loved to be able to fly on the wall of that and just work out. I wonder if they've, if he puts his best behaviour on for these things, and then once he's in a team, it's kind of back to Boros of old, where the opinion I get is he is a bit,
I don't know whether it's
unreliable, and
I don't think he's the type of guy to just be a dick on purpose. I just think
he's one of those that's just oblivious to it. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
he's the type of guy that you in the office or in your class, and you're like, he's really fucking annoying, and I don't know why. I'm not sure what he's doing wrong, but he's really winding me up right now.
Well, I will say something. These guys could all frag.
Yeah.
Whether they're gonna be a good team or not is another question, but they can frag.
I don't know. I mean, Kios
maybe not, but I mean Quan Flatru, Smooya, the rest of them, they can. I mean, Boros wasn't great on Falcons, right? But we know
he can do it.
He's got the potential, yeah.
Interesting. All right. Next up, Monty.
Monty, Polish now.
Polish, yeah. I mean,
yep.
How? I guess there was a point where Monty were a bit like a big, weren't they? They were like that team that you actually didn't really want to play, especially online, because you were going to have a really tough game and there was potential you'd lose. And then
they were killing some big teams,
mate.
Yeah.
I mean, and now I'm not sure they're actually playing a game right now. They're actually playing 0 Tenacity right now. Was it 1-1 on maps? I'm not sure about this team anymore. I don't know how you guys. I mean, Dyer, however you want to pronounce it, it's been so poor. Dia, sorry, since his mates left. Like, I'm actually surprised he got signed to a team so quick, if I'm honest.
His fall off has been kind of insane since the Ents core got gutted by Falcons.
Yeah.
It's
I wouldn't take
pretty
him.
sad to see.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why that is. What would it be? Just that his mates left and he loved that style of play? I don't know. But maybe now that he's in a all Polish team and it's, I don't know whether that's going to help again. But
they'll grind a lot of matches like Monty do, and then you'll see where it goes. But I do think it's funny that Diha and Hades back together.
Yep.
And then Stika, this feels like your typical, face it stack.
Yeah, that's it. Like Stiko as well.
Few random players. But I don't know.
And also the Monty we saw last, which was when they had they had a young British lad filling in from the academy.
It's me.
Yeah, and I remember watching one of the games because I wanted to see how he was getting on. And poor lad looked like a deer in headlights. Like, they were all kicking off around him, and he was just like, I can't remember who it was. Was Demko involved then? I don't remember if it was him getting told off or not either. But they were just like arguing, and I just thought, Jesus, that team looks in bits. Yeah. I'm not sure where they go from here. So, don't know. Yeah. What do we think to this team?
Especially, Demka is just really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm worried because if he gets poached, I feel like this team has nothing. And I don't know. They've become, like Gamer Legion since Paris, they've become kind of an organization that people they know of. They attend a big event or two. They've got some names, and I feel like it's good to have tier 2 orgs, that have the money to buy people and build competitive lineups, but aren't, everywhere. So I would hate to see this team kind of fade away, but this lineup's not inspiring me with much hope.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, like I've said in the past, you got Hades at the AWP. It's like that kind of says it all for your team. Like, Hades is a good AWPer and I rate him, but your team's not going super far. These are the team that you might stick one of them in your fantasy team just because you need a cheaper player. Or what's going on with Woro 2K?
He's just gone, I guess. Don't know what happened there.
He could be a good pickup for some teams.
Yeah, he's young, got a lot of talent. This team could be a chance for Hades to prove that he's still good. He's still pretty young, so maybe someone wants to pick him up after this if he really excels. But that's kind of all I see this team as.
But yeah, I think, I'm quite high on AWPers. I did go off them a little bit with CS2, but they still seem pretty important. So yeah, I can't see these guys doing anything too interesting.
Yeah, okay. Like it's just a proving ground for other for specific players.
Okay, now, last but not least on our little roster list here, which I'm sure there's others we could probably talk about, but I think we are going to have to start bringing it to close just for life. M80, so the old American boys. The only question I have is who the fuck is Lake and is he any good? That's my question. Gadj, is
I wanted to add this just because I want to, it kind of losing Malbs, who is definitely by far their best player. After all that does kind of, I feel like some people would think like, oh, well, M80 was cool, but now they're gone. They're still going to be around. They're actually going to be playing at the World Cup in a few days, or I guess tomorrow it is. Lake is a really great young player, super aggressive. He played on a team called Carpe Diem. He is a big prospect who's been around, and I'm excited for him to get a good chance. I really hope that it goes well. But I do think that he's got a lot of potential. He's been absolutely farming North American teams. So hopefully this can kind of keep M80 up, because it has been really nice as a North American fan to have M80 come in and be another organization that's not just Complexity or Liquid. And I want them to, stay and to keep putting out decent results, and I think that Lake can help provide that. So I just wanted to bring a little bit of attention to him.
Yeah, just having a real quick look at his stats. It's all American teams, but yeah, he's been putting in some nice ratings. To be fair to him, so interested to see
Super
how
aggressive.
I think there's something to be said about playing really well against tier 2 teams. Like, Donk is the best example of that.
Yeah.
He was smashing tier 2 teams, and then he came in and smashed tier 1 teams. So, we shouldn't, like you were saying before, you shouldn't necessarily talk down about putting up good stats about tier 2 teams.
Well, look, you can only beat what's in front of you, right? So if he's farming
Yeah.
them, he's farming them. Like, fuck it, yeah, do it.
Yeah. And he fits Melbs' roles like a glove. There's an article on Dust 2 about it, but it really is it's a good fit. So I'm excited.
Well, they've got
nice.
they've got vitality first, so
yeah.
There you go, baptism of fire a bit for your first game. Okay, we did have a lot more to talk about. We might not have time to touch on all this, Gadj, which probably means probably means we're gonna have to get you back on, mate. So I don't think that's necessarily.
Yeah, I've had a great
thing.
time. This has been awesome.
We'll very quickly let's talk about the Esports World Cup. We like to do this sometimes and just quickly.
Yeah, we need to talk about some CS. We've not watched any tier 1 for too long. So
well, it starts tomorrow. It starts tomorrow as the Esports World Cup. We'll only be quick on this. We often like to just pick a team that is going to win a tournament, and it's often very wrong. Although I've got it right a few times with my Mongols pick this year, but other than that, it's been pretty off.
Oh, once.
Yeah, it was once.
Right, come on, Gadj, who you have it?
Who's going to win the Esports World Cup? Go.
Who's going to win the Esports World Cup? Mouse.
Okay. Mouse. Yeah.
Mouse.
I thought you said Malbs. It was just going to be Mal.
No. Malbs.
Yeah, just G2 and
He's
Mouse.
not winning.
Okay, fine. So Mouse. Gadj is going Mouse.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Dave. Go on, Brady. Who are you going?
I can't be boring, so I'm not going to say Spirit. Let's say FaZe. Are they back?
They are. Oh God, here he is. Getting me excited, mate.
Sorry, did I take that from you?
No.
You can say FaZe if you like.
No. That's fine. I tell you what, who I'm going to go with then, and this is strictly for the American contingent here. I'm going to back Complexity then. Let's see if Big Boy Lige can carry them through. Yeah,
I like that.
I might be regretting that, but who have they got as their opening game? Hang on.
VP.
That's one of the only ones that can go either way. A lot of these are pretty one-sided matches.
Yeah, but VP have been awful. They've not been great at all. And we saw them in London at the Blast, and mate, we saw them in the semi-finals. They got to semi-finals, but it was a small tournament.
Excuse me, Gadj. FaZe should beat FlyQuest. Come on.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
Mouse as well. I think, to be honest, I'll be completely honest. I thought Spirit or Vitality could win this, but I didn't want to be too boring. In FaZe, I mean, I did.
Spirit is probably the favorite, I think, but it's no fun to root for the one who should win.
Yeah, exactly. And watch Na'Vi rock up and win it, and everyone go, it's still all a fluke. Imma's for another few weeks. Okay, listen, we are going to wrap that up because we've been going an hour and 20 minutes, and so let's wrap that up. Yep. Gadj, we want to say thank you so much for coming on. It has actually been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Where can people find you? Social medias? I don't know if you want to plug that. If you don't, whatever, you don't have to.
Sure. My main social media is Twitter at Gadj_man. Thank you guys for having me on. This has been a pleasure. So much fun to talk with people who love CounterStrike and just have a good time. And I'd love to be back on again if you guys ever want to talk about North American stuff or just feel like having a guest.
Yeah, sweet. We'll definitely get you back on.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear comments, anything on anything we've discussed, Gadj being on. We don't ask this enough, but subscribe, like, follow. We never do call for action, to be honest with you. We're pretty lazy with it because we just like to have a beer and chat about it. So if you actually would give us a like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz, that would be very helpful. And Gadj, thank you again. And we will see you guys all very soon.
Yeah, cheers guys.
GG.
Peace.